they're scheming in the night, selling out our freedoms for a pocket full of spite. From the border to the heartland, the wolves are at the door, twisting truth and tearing down what our fathers fought before. But I'm a patriot source, standing tall and true, with a Bible in my hand and old glory flying blue. Ain't apologizing for loving this land. We'll fight the forces of evil with fire in our stand. God bless the USA, we'll never back down. Patriots for freedom, wearing that crown.
Nom, push the button. I'm not sure which one I'm supposed to be hitting here. Is it the big one? There, it's that one. All right. What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. It is the Nom and Patriot Dad show tonight because SK is taking the night off. She's having some car trouble. Wait, what are you doing? What's that? Wait, what are you doing? Can you hear me? You're muted, dude.
Yeah, just do your
There you
thing,
go.
man.
Oh,
Do your
SK,
thing.
SK has taken the night off. And by the way, Joanne Freeman, I love that song also. Every time we play that, I'm just like back here jamming to the music because it's fantastic. For those of you guys that don't know, if there's anyone new to the audience in the chat or anyone watching this later, that is an original song that one of the back channel boys guarding the grid wrote and then put the instrumental and the music and all that stuff together. And then the fellows put that video together. And I think it's available as a download over on Guarding the Grid's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's not like something that we had to go out and get a license for, because I tried to get a license for another song and they wanted to charge me $1,500 freaking dollars.
Whoa.
$1,500 for like a 10-second buffer song. And I was like, no. I got fellas on the back channel that are much better than this. GP will call. Glad you can hear me. Am I yelling? Am I too loud?
No. Listen, sometimes when a video is up there and you try to put an image up there, the image doesn't kick the video out, but a video will kick an image out, and a video will not kick another video out. So I was trying to bring this image up because we had talked about starting the show off this way, and it got stuck because the intro video was still up there.
Got it.
That's what happened.
Let's pull this down because I don't think we're quite ready for that yet.
I think we are ready for
All
it.
right,
But
do
that's
it.
okay.
No, pull it back up. This is what you wanted to run with, so run with it, because I think it's a perfect intro to the show. Because if you guys didn't notice, Nam had show naming convention responsibilities tonight, and he named this one Trump's Frozen Chosin. And you'll notice the way he spelled Chosin. He didn't spell it like Chosen the TV show. He spelled it differently. Why did you spell it that way?
Well, because in 1950, the U.S. Marine Corps, the U.S. military actually was engaged in, embroiled in what? Korean War, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, going through Marine Corps boot camp, 13 weeks, Paris Island or Marine MCRD San Diego, what do you spend more time doing than anything in boot camp?
Learning history.
Learning Marine Corps history.
Learning where your fellow Marines came from. And
Marine Corps knowledge, right?
That's
so
right.
One of the most important Marine Corps figures in history is a gentleman by the name of Lieutenant General Chesty Puller, Lewis B. Puller. And he was called Chesty, that was his nickname, because he had like a huge mountain of ribbons and awards, personal awards. I think he had like 14 individual personal awards. The dude had 5 Navy Crosses. He had an Army Distinguished Service Medal, Silver Stars, Bronze Stars, all kinds of stuff.
Isn't that the dude that strapped like a 50 cal machine gun on his back and like ran somewhere like 20 miles or something like that?
No, that's not Chesty Puller.
Okay.
Chesty Puller was a general. Well, actually, when he led the Incheon landing and then led the Battle of Chosin Reservoir on 1st Marine Regiment, he was actually a colonel. And then he later got promoted, I think, in 1951 to Lieutenant General. based purely on his heroism. Dude was insane. He was, I think, the most, if not one of the most decorated military service members of all time. But certainly
he was a badass. Let's just cut to the chase. Badass.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm labeling today's show Trump's Frozen Chosen is because
Guarding the Grid thinks we're talking about him.
come on, guys, gotta give me blush over here. Yes, guarding. We are talking. No, we're actually talking about Lieutenant General, Colonel at the time, Chesty Puller, because there are a couple of incredibly famous quotes that came out of the Battle of Chosin Reservoir, and these things have been bastardized over time. So I wanted to get them very specifically accurate, because as I'm thinking about what President Trump is dealing with, and what we're watching coming from the left, from the right, all the enemies, they seem like they've got Trump surrounded right now. It immediately, my mind went to Frozen Chosen, Chesty Puller, and a couple of his quotes. One of his quotes during that Chosin Reservoir battle. So we've been looking for our enemies for several days now. We finally found them. We're surrounded, which simplifies our problem of getting to these people and killing them. Another famous quote: they're on our left, they're on our right, they're in front of us, they're behind us. They can't get away this time. This is how Chesty Puller spoke to his Marines. It's how he thought about things when he was, under fire and when they were in trouble. The Marine Corps, the 1st Marine Regiment, was completely surrounded by the Chinese, completely surrounded. In fact, they had to end up retreating. But Chesty Puller was quoted as like, "We're not retreating, we're just attacking in a different direction." And then as they were retreating, they completely obliterated like 2 or 3 different Chinese regiments on their way out as they were attacking in a different direction. And there were a decent amount of Marine losses. I think between 4,000 and 7,000, I think is what they counted. But they killed between 40 and 70,000 Chinese on their way out. So a 10-to-1 kill ratio as they were attacking in a different direction. That is how Chesty Puller dealt with being surrounded by his enemy. And that's exactly where President Trump is right now.
That's right.
The enemy has him surrounded, and the enemy on his left, on his right, in front of him in the Senate, behind him in the judiciary, in the judicial branch. But you notice we haven't seen very many defections in his own administration yet. Just one, Joe Kent. Just one. And that's a testament to the lessons that Trump learned in his first administration. So Trump and his administration right now, his cabinet, the people closest to him, are the 1st Marine Regiment, and the enemy thinks they have him surrounded. So this is Trump's Frozen Chosen. He's getting ready to annihilate hell.
The enemy thinks they have Trump right where they want him, and what they don't realize is that we have them right where we want them. We have been, for months, we have been mapping and tracking and calling these people out. All of the color revolutionists, the grand conspirators, all of them, literally since the day we launched this podcast right before Charlie Kirk was shot back in September. See, Nam, I don't know if I know you remember this, but the reason why we started this podcast, we were talking before we ever launched this thing, Nam, SK, and I, we've been talking about doing this for a while. And one of the things that we noticed when Dan Bongino accepted the call to go into the federal government, into the FBI, there was a massive gap that was created in the digital space, because the thing that drew us to his content was the level of depth in the receipts and the accuracy of his reporting. Going all the way back to episode, was it 648, I think, the first episode where he started talking about the Russian collusion hoax. I don't think I'd ever experienced anybody draw out a line of investigation as far and as deep and as wide as he did. And when he went into the federal government, that vanished from the ecosystem, and it created a vacuum in the ecosystem. And it needed to be filled. Now, I don't think we ever imagined that we would be able to fill that vacuum ever to the size and the scope that the Bongino army created. But somebody had to come into this space and really start to investigate the things that were happening behind the scenes. And that's what we decided to do, because we knew that we had SK, who is by far the best natural investigator probably in the country. Her and Lisa, there are no two that are better than them. They are absolutely incredible, old school investigators. And we started mapping this stuff. We started talking about these people. And I got to be honest with you. Last night when I opened up X and I saw Kash Patel's girlfriend, what's her name? Alexis, I think her name is.
Alexis. Yep.
Can you pull that up on X? Do you have that available?
Got it.
If not,
Yep.
okay. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I think a lot of you probably have, because it is a massive, massive bombshell. But one of the things that we started diving into very early after Charlie Kirk was assassinated was the nexus of the accounts that seemed to have foreknowledge into his assassination. And we mapped them. We mapped him all the way to Ermias Faneyan. We mapped him to the SLC, the queer gun clubs. We mapped him to the John Brown gun club. We mapped him all the way to their Reddit accounts, to their Discord servers. We showed you even the Antifa blog post where they were talking about using Israel as the wedge issue to divide MAGA, to try to destroy MAGA. And that is the thesis that we have been operating on for months, is that the digital warfare, the coup d'etat that you're seeing play out amongst fake MAGA, was an operation from the left. And that's what we were operating under. And I think it was a reasonable assumption. But Nam, have you noticed something over the last couple of weeks? Have you seen any protests in the streets lately?
No, I've not seen any protests in the streets. I have seen a bunch of morons out there blowing their whistles in airports. But no, I haven't seen any protests in the streets. Nope.
Yeah, I mean,
they've kind
of
of
course
fizzled.
you've got the idiots in the airport because they feel like they have to protest everywhere ICE goes. In honor of SK, remember to close the chat and go thumbs up the stream. Amen. Thank you, the fourth strike. Close the chat, go thumbs up the stream, and come back if you can.
Yeah, that
But
just shares the stream, likes it, shares it, get it out there. We appreciate it.
The point I'm trying to make is that while we've been operating under this thesis that we have been under attack from infiltrators from the left who've been pretending to be MAGA, and I did all the research. You may remember we were invited on the Paramount Tactical Show to talk about the analysis that I personally did after experiencing an assault from some of these bot accounts. Well, come to find out they're not bot accounts, these sock puppet accounts. And I showed you that about 85% of all of the responses, not only in mine, but in multiple people and their threads, were coming from these core group of sock puppet accounts. I was under the assumption that these sock puppet accounts were operating under the direction of some Antifa strategy.
Hey, Cat Snow, just real quick, Alexis Wilkins is Kash Patel's girlfriend.
That's right.
Yeah, she is on our side.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I think I would argue that she is, and we'll talk. Let's get back to her in a second. So the thesis that we've been operating under is that we've been under an infiltration, an attack by Antifa-inspired sock puppet Discord servers. You know, the kids that live in mommy's basement. They're wearing little furry tails to school. The folks who are tangentially connected to Tyler Robinson and the furry community. That's who we thought we were up against. And then we started getting access to the Epstein files. And this crazy thing happened once we got a glimpse inside of it. I know they all wanted you to find Donald Trump's name under every rock. That was the plan. That was the entire purpose of the exercise that they went through, to jam the Epstein files into the public before the FBI and the Department of Justice had a reasonable amount of time to go through and make sure they weren't releasing information on victims and stuff like that. But nonetheless, we got the chance for the first time in any of our lives to see over 4 million documents. And whose name did we see show up in those documents thousands and thousands of times? Text messages, emails, conversations between none other than Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein. And when I saw that, I was initially very surprised. I mean, Steve Bannon's always kind of give me the greasy, like slime ball, feel. But I was not expecting to come across a thread of a multi-year conversation between Steve Bannon and one of the worst pedophiles probably in human history, literally discussing a conspiracy to try to take Donald Trump out of his presidency and ultimately to remove his presidential immunity so they could put him in jail.
Mm-hmm.
I was also not expecting to find a text thread, which we showed. Did we show that last week? I don't think we showed it on Monday. I showed it in a video, and I did, I think. No, we did. We showed it on Monday. A text thread where Steve Bannon is very clearly articulating to Jeffrey Epstein his level of jealousy of Donald Trump for Donald Trump being seen as the figurehead of MAGA, because Steve Bannon believes that he is the architect of it and that it is his movement. So my, I don't know what to call it. My senses have been up for a little while on Steve Bannon, and I kind of stayed quiet for a few weeks because I just wanted to feel it out and see what happened. And then I started noticing that as people were talking about Steve Bannon and they were talking about the Epstein files and his relationship to him, all of the folks who have come out of the Bannon orbit very quickly started to shift their perspective. You got the Megyn Kellys of the world. You've got the Jack Posobics of the world. I know Nam doesn't know if Jack Posobic is a turncoat. I've been watching, and he sure as hell seems to be falling right in line with the Steve Bannon narrative. But last night, I opened up my X account, and I see Alexis Wilkins, who is the girlfriend of Kash Patel. Now, a little bit of background, and I don't have my reading glasses yet, so I can barely read this. So you may have to read this if you can, Nam. I don't know if you're able to see it. But open up her X account, and there you go. Alexis Wilkins has just blown the lid on the entire digital operation that the American people have been suffering under. We have known for a while that there's a digital psyop that's been going on because we identified it back in December when we did the analysis on the sock puppet experience that we had. We knew that most of the engagement and the amplification that we were seeing was fake. A handful of sock puppet accounts driving engagement across the internet for the sole purpose of trying to demoralize and manipulate the MAGA base. And at first we thought it was leftists. Come to find out, it may be, but it's also the Steve Bannon, General Mike Flynn wing of what we thought was the MAGA base.
Yeah. Now I want to be clear about something because I don't know when this started, though. She's dated. She's trying to date this all the way back to 22 months ago, when she was labeled a Mossad spy, and she was handling Kash Patel, which was easily one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Yeah,
it was freaking crazy. But I mean, when did these people start coming out vocally against Trump and against? Was it almost immediately with Kash Patel and Bongino? Like within a month after they got there, they're like, why is nothing happening? When did this start happening?
The timing of this is so amazing. It really kind of started after Charlie Kirk. I think that's when it started to the shit started to pile on to Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Yeah. They were already starting to get frustrated because they weren't getting what they demanded out of the Epstein files.
Yeah, because well, they
expected.
They had Pam Bondi botched that whole binder thing, right? That was stupid. She screwed that up, and I completely agree. That was dumb. I don't know why you give those people, because a lot of those people, the Jack Posobics, a lot of them are the ones who are the most vocally pissed off still at Kash Patel and Bongino and others and Trump about that. They feel like they got embarrassed, and they kind of did.
I mean, some of them did.
Yeah, some of them did. Some of them they got a bit embarrassed, but I don't know what more or how many different ways we need to ask the question. If you know who should be charged and who should be indicted and who should be thrown in prison for being a client of Epstein, give us their names and then prove it. You've got 5 million documents at this point, 5 million of them. Who? Because we've rattled off a lot of names. Just turns out most of them are Democrats. I don't see anybody trying to throw any of those people in jail. Stacey Plaskins. I mean, I don't see any of these people. Kathleen Rumler, Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon's going to have to answer for his relationship with Epstein, because I still draw a line in the sand when it comes to Epstein. Pre 2007 case in the Southern District of Florida, post 2007, when everybody knew who he was, everybody in the federal government at least knew who he was, even though he got that sweetheart deal, and he was able to plead down to, I think, one count of prostitution for a minor, something like that. I think is what he ended up pleading to.
Yep.
But if you stayed associated with him after that, then you have a very different thing that you need to answer for. An entirely different set of questions you need to answer than, say, Trump did before, because he kicked him out in, what, 2004?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway.
Might have been 2003. Nonetheless, just absolutely shocked to find out that General Flynn, and it all makes sense now. I can't tell you the number of times that I saw General Flynn on Steve Bannon's show.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't count them on I could probably go to Grok and he could probably count them for us. But what Alexis Wilkins is showing you is further receipts and evidence of the fact that there is a non-organic amplification, demoralization campaign playing out in social media, targeted at the MAGA base. And it appears as though it's originating from General Mike Flynn and his organization.
Yeah. And people around him. I mean, look at this right here. Ivan Reichland. You guys all remember
Igor.
Igor. That's him and Ogre and Little Guy are the three that went and tried to accost Bongino at the event he was at over the weekend. Ivan Reichland. That's this guy.
Hold on.
Right?
SK. I saw it, SK. We'll pull it up in a second. I see it.
What?
She wants us to pull something up out of the Dropbox. I see it. We'll pull it up here in a minute.
Okay.
I see it.
Okay.
It's
She's
shocking.
Still contributing.
Yeah, I know. At least she's here. She's watching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what chapter 4 out of 13? Go back to 3 real quick. Go back to 3. The network has a trail. Catholics for Catholics lists General Michael Flynn as the current senior advisor on their own website. Flynn is the anchor of a digital infrastructure that has been repeatedly activated. At every major Republican fracture point, over 22 months of documented data, the same accounts appear at every chapter. This network does not rebuild between deployments. It stays ready. On May 2024, 10 days before the Butler assassination, Ivan Ratcliffe, former Green Beret, former Defense Intelligence Agency, board member of Flynn's nonprofit. I didn't know he was a board member of Flynn's nonprofit, America's Future. Did you know that? I had no idea. This guy's a scumbag.
Yeah. Well, so interesting. If you notice, every issue here so far are that we've talked about or that has been brought up. Joe Kent. These are talking points that Joe Kent came out the day that the Catholics for Catholics event was that morning. That's the morning that he resigned, that he released his letter, and then he walked right into that event. Every single thing that these guys were pushing, that they were shoving out there into the ecosystem, are the exact talking points that Joe Kent was using. The Butler assassination, saying we still don't know anything about what's his face, and we absolutely do. Look at the law firm that filed it.
All right, let's pull this up. SK is going to keep going until we pull it up. All right, I'm going to pull it up real quick. She dropped it into the Dropbox, and this is why we love SK, because she's so good at this. Should I be pulling up Flynn Farah 1 or Flynn Farah 2? Let's pull up Flynn Farah 1. We'll start there. I had a chance to read this, but I didn't read it. And see, SK, this is why you need to be on the show, by the way. You can't take a day off and then pop into the comments.
March 7, 2017.
You're supposed to be on vacation. So this is a letter that was written by Covington. Who's Covington? Do you guys remember Covington? Isn't that one of the law firms that represented a couple of the folks in the FBI that were under investigation for their role in the grand conspiracy? Covington. This is a letter that was written March 7, 2017, effectively posthumously applying for a FARA waiver for Mike Flynn as he was entering the Trump administration, because apparently, at least allegedly, he was running an illegal foreign. Is that right? Am I reading this right?
No. This is March 17th, March 7, 2017.
Yeah.
This is after. So this is after Trump.
Yeah.
After he was basically removed as the national security advisor.
That's right.
This is after the fact.
I'm going to pull this
So
up.
so after so because during the transition is when the FBI, is when Brennan and Comey and those guys set up. Mike Flynn got hosed. He got screwed up one side and down the other. They waited until he went on a short vacation. He left the country. They spied on his communications as he was talking to all of his counterparts across the globe, including Kislyak in Russia, right? Because he was the incoming national security advisor. That's literally his job, is to say, hey, here I am. I'm going to be the incoming national security advisor. Let's start building relationships with my counterparts. And then they used that pretext to start spying on him. And then that's where the whole Logan Act nonsense bullshit came from. Flynn was out of the administration before this even happened. And then it seems to me like he flipped almost immediately after he was booted from the administration, or he left. He was going to be fired. He's going to be kicked out because of too much noise. So this is afterward. March 7th, 2017. Clients, Flynn Group, General, to submit a foreign registration and supplement disclosure statement. So he's basically trying to register as a foreign agent. That's fine. I mean, we have foreign agents. That's okay. Who's he registering for?
Turkey.
Turkey.
I do know that, although it's not on the
Turkey.
form, but I did a little bit of research on this. So apparently General Mike Flynn was running an organization that was representing Turkey, or at least companies within Turkey. And Liz Can sends us a super chat. SK needs to stop what she's doing and get on the panel, report to duty. SK, totally agree. See, this is where it comes in handy for us to actually read the stuff.
Right. Well,
that
this
she
wasn't
sends
in this wasn't in the Dropbox.
Well, she put it in the Dropbox. She sent it to
Yeah,
us
just-
like an hour and a half ago.
I didn't see it. Anyway, so Covington is where Victoria Nuland now works, by the way.
That's
So the same
shocking.
law firm that was representing Flynn for his registering as a foreign agent is where Victoria Nuland now works, and we all understand how that goes. Okay, what's the other one? Treachery is legendary. Yeah, I mean it is. Was there another one in there that we need to take a look at?
Yeah, there's a second one, a second Flynn Farah.
Oh, I can't remove that. You're gonna have to.
Oh,
You're gonna have to remove that one while I get the other one. Flynn.
All right.
Flynn Farah 2.
Yep. What's interesting is the dates on this, though, right? So why are they just now filing these FARA registrations for representation that was happening well before that?
They're not just now filing them. These
No,
are the filings that
I
happened
understand, but he wasn't. These are the filings that were happening after they had already shut down the organizations that were representing Turkey as he was coming into the first Trump administration. So it's almost like he was filing these posthumously to cover his rear end as he was taking a job in the Trump administration.
Posthumously means that the posthumous means after he died.
Whatever. You know what I mean?
No, are you? I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think after he got booted from the administration is when he then went on to become a foreign agent for Turkey.
No,
I think it was after.
No, it says on the first one we looked at, it talked about the relationship in 2016.
Bring that back up. Did
SK,
you get rid of that already?
SK, we may have to table this until Friday because this isn't terribly relevant to the conversation. We're going to table this until SK can come back because she knows this stuff more than I do because I hadn't just barely glanced at it when we came online. This is why we need SK here because she's a genius about this stuff.
I want to look at this again.
Okay, let's pull it up and look at it together. Let's read it together, and maybe we can
In
make
September 2016, Flynn publicly disclosed its representation. Okay, federal law to register. Okay, so September 2016, after General was named in mid-November to serve as national security advisor in the new administration, Flynn Intel Group shut down its operations. You are correct. So he was basically lobbying on behalf of Turkey. Went to Covington, Burling. Okay. Hold
on. Let's see what she says. FIG received 530K to 530 from Inovo BV, owned by Turkish businessman Ekim Derpa for research, advisory, and lobbying related to work on Turkey issues between roughly September and November. Okay, so this is the details of what he was lobbying on behalf of a Turkish businessman for as he was coming into, hold on, Flynn, December 2017, guilty plea, later withdrawn pardon. Prosecutors allege he made a material false statement and admission in the FARA documents. Interesting.
Huh.
Flynn picked by Obama. That's the answer to anything about Flynn. All right, we're going to have to come back to this because I want SK on the show to talk through what she knows. So we will come back to this on Friday. But this doesn't matter because the point that we need to make is that I was absolutely shocked to find out that this infiltration was happening from Flynn's soldiers. And I shouldn't have been because he tells us, wait, what's this?
It's back to Alexis Wilkins because there's a couple of, of important data points here, if you will.
It's a data point
that are, incredibly important, impactful, because you can see this network that Alexis is describing that she's laying out when she actually provides like lists of the accounts and the times and the tweets and the posts and all that stuff. And it's amazing because I saw a bunch of people on here like, oh yeah, like a journalist, an influencer / country artist can come up and write the stuff. Like, you can do this with a conversation with Grok now, guys. Come on. It's not even difficult. You realize that you can actually ask Grok about stuff that goes on X, and it can give you some ridiculously valuable information from it. Like, PatriotDad, didn't you just do a bunch of that through a conversation with Grok? And that doesn't even include if you have access to the API and you can actually churn through the data. Just conversationally, you can get to this stuff in a very significant way.
I mean, anyway. Grok is how I did my analysis of the sock puppet accounts.
Yep.
And it took about an hour, maybe 2 hours to pull it all together. But you can do it all here.
So the one interesting thing that I wanted to point out here, because listen, you guys can go read all this. This is all very interesting stuff. But we have seen inflection points happen, and we've all kind of scratched our head about, well, why is this happening like this? Why is this going down? And she sort of nails it right here on chapter 3, September 2025, when Charlie Kirk is assassinated. Within hours, right? Hours of that, Candace Owens goes out and publicly attributes the killing to Israel and targets Kirk's widow by name. And then you have all of those same accounts that are active in July 2025. The honeypot chapter activate immediately. All of those same accounts, the network of those accounts, those sock puppets, those bots, all of them, they get reactivated and they immediately start to amplify Candace's nonsense. And by the way, I don't know if you guys heard Bongino today. I don't know if you listened to it. I listened to it on my way home from my conference. He referenced, and I can't for the life of me remember the name of the journalist, but there's a journalist that he referenced who is right now out there saying, hey guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but Antifa in the days after following Charlie Kirk's assassination was out there saying that the best way to sort of save ourselves is to blame Israel. There's people out there right now that's actually claiming like they found that or whatever. I don't know where it's coming from. But Bongino mentioned it today.
Yeah.
That Antifa is literally laughing their asses all the way to the bank right now. They are laughing. They're like, Trans-Tifa was able to assassinate Charlie Kirk. You may have one of us on trial, but you have Charlie Kirk's supposed best friends literally creating the reasonable doubt defense for our friend Tyler Robinson. This is amazing. Absolutely fucking incredible what they pulled off here. They're laughing.
Yep. Well, it's because they're good at it. So I want to address K Pasta's question to SK. Everyone's talking to SK in the comments because she should be up here helping us with this because she's the genius on this stuff. But I want to know if Flynn was always bad or did he turn bad? I really need to know this so I can begin to heal parts of my brain. I have a theory. I think for people like General Flynn, Steve Bannon, I don't think they care at all about what side they're on. They're not Republicans. They're not conservatives. They have an agenda for the country. And when that agenda for the country veers away from the person that's in power, then that person immediately becomes their enemy. So I would agree. I would argue that General Flynn aligned with Donald Trump when their objectives aligned. And as soon as Donald Trump made a decision that he wanted to deploy the Don Road Doctrine and national security strategy, and the national security strategy took us in a direction of actually having to use military force to implement it in certain places, they saw their inflection point.
So this is an important question, and if you didn't listen to Bongino today, you probably won't understand it, Patriot Dad. Do you know who Max Blumenthal is?
Yeah,
he's a rabid leftist, like a crazy, insane leftist. He's also Sidney Blumenthal's son. Sidney Blumenthal was a Hillary Clinton acolyte. Sidney Blumenthal was the one who said, "Hey, go and blow up Libya, take out Gaddafi, and we'll be able to get you elected in 2016." That's Sidney Blumenthal. His son, Max Blumenthal, a rabid leftist, seems to have insinuated himself in with Flynn, with Candace, with Igor, with Bannon, with all of these guys. They're all retweeting each other. They're all BFFs at this point. So to answer Lovable Dash's question, I don't think Charlie was friendly with Max Blumenthal, but all of the people who called themselves Charlie friends but are now blaming TPUSA and pointing a finger at Erica Kirk for Charlie's brutal, gruesome assassination, they're friendly with Max Blumenthal, and that should tell you everything you need to know.
Well, Max Blumenthal is who Joe Kent's girl or wife works for.
Yep.
With Gray Zone.
Gray Zone, yep.
So, Stephanie, I want to address this. Trust me, Flynn is 100% a good guy. I thought that. And I actually have close personal friends of mine who know him well and is trying to tell me the same thing. But you're going to have to explain to me why it is that his digital army is now doing the work that Antifa said they were going to do when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. You're going to have to explain that to me. You're going to have to rectify what I'm seeing with my own eyes. And don't give me this, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to be. Don't give me this crap that I'm hearing from people who are fans of Steve Bannon to try to convince people that Steve Bannon was running a op on Jeffrey Epstein, was undercover on behalf of bullcrap. Bullcrap. I don't buy that for a hot stinking minute. You can't convince me that Steve Bannon spent 2 years at the hip with Jeffrey Epstein and the length and the depths of the conversations he was having with him and the anger that was dripping off the page at Donald Trump and the Trump agenda, that he was just infiltrating Epstein. There's no reason for him to infiltrate Epstein. He didn't need to. Everybody already knew who Epstein was and what he was doing. I don't buy it. And I'm sorry, General Flynn, I've had a ton of respect for you, but this doesn't work for me. This does not sit well for me at all.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question, like good, bad, other, I don't know. And I think it's with us, against us. I think what is playing out, we've talked about it, a lot of other folks have talked about it. What is actually playing out now is people are picking sides for 2028. That's what is happening. People are picking sides for 2028. And unfortunately, this group of people are more than happy to burn it all down, to burn the Trump legacy down so that their guy, whoever their guy is or gal, is going to be in 2028, can run against Trump and all of Trump's failures, saying Trump didn't get the job done. I will. I will get the job done. I will do what Trump promised, but he didn't complete, which, in my opinion, is patently insane, because it's a segment we're going to do here in a minute where what does Agenda 47 actually look like today? It's almost done.
Successful. Hey,
it's almost complete.
Do you remember on Friday at the end of our show, you guys in the comments may remember this, we were kind of going back and forth on who we think the candidate that the fake ass black pill wannabe America First crowd are trying to destroy the Trump administration over so that they can run. Do you guys remember that question?
Let's get the audience involved here. Who do you all think?
Yeah. Who do you think it's going to be?
Who's it going to be?
Who do you think the fake ass black pill wannabe America First crowd are prepping to run as their presidential candidate against the heir apparent that Donald Trump is going to endorse? Who do you think it's going to be? Because that person may have just emerged. I don't know if you guys saw this. The only person in government that I trust at this point is Donald Trump. If he goes bad, I give up entirely. Amen to that. Tucker, yeah, waffles, bacon. I thought Tucker too, and it still could be. We could still see Tucker once he gets out. Who we got? Tarlston. They're trying to ruin the midterms. Hey, you know what, SK? I don't know if you know how right you are, because what's been really fascinating is you're seeing this evolution of
SK always knows how right she is.
I know. You're seeing this evolution of these accounts. Initially, they refused to even talk about the plan. And now you're starting to see these accounts flat out say, no to Vance, no to Rubio. Screw the midterms. We're going to help you lose the midterms. Like, they are openly now talking about their agenda for the midterms is to lose so that they can then prop up their own candidate. You got Josh Hawley, Jared Ticket, Governor Cox. No. Candace. No, maybe. No. We actually found out today who their candidate very well may be. Did you see this? Breaking. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is reportedly strongly considering leaving the Republican Party and running for president as an independent in the 2028 election. Yeah, that's who they're prepping right
That's
now.
hilarious. That's absolutely.
I mean, look, now it's starting to make sense. I mean, when you see Marjorie Taylor Greene get stiff-armed by Donald Trump and run immediately into the open arms of Code Pink, she was securing a new base. That's what she was doing. She was consolidating power, trying to secure a new base of lunatics, of people that she can run as an independent with.
I want to explain something to everybody, and it's the same thing that I explained to you back when you were a Ted Cruz supporter, and I had to explain to you why President Trump was going to, why candidate
I would have
Trump,
figured it out on my own.
You would have, but folks, that's how this played out, right? So, and I understand PatriotDad's I get it. I like Ted Cruz. I think he's great. I think he's a little annoying and kind of stiff and whatever. But I don't know how we ever go back to like normal after Trump. Frankly, I don't know how you do it. But the point that I tried to make to him one night, I think it was after a debate, and he was like, Trump's horrible, and he says I don't like the way he talks, and he's mean, and presidents shouldn't sound like that. I'm like, yeah, but he's the only one that's ever going to be able to withstand what the Democrats and Clinton are going to throw at him. The only one.
That's right.
The only one. Do you think Marjorie Taylor Greene can handle that? Because make no mistake about it, I don't care who these black pillars think their candidate is. I don't care who new MAGA thinks their candidate is, or FAGA or whatever. You're never going to actually get the left to like you. They're going to hate you. They may play around with you right now and say, oh, hey, that person is my friend right now because they're trashing Trump. But I would tell you right now, as soon as Trump is out of the picture, they will turn on you and they will rip your throat out, and then they will try to shove it up your ass.
Now, I'm going to need you to do me a favor, because I know that your oldest and her son are going to be graduating together here soon. So you may actually see her.
I will see her in probably 2 weeks. Actually,
I need you to do me a favor.
Parents' weekend. I
need you to, as boldly, and if you want to make a scene doing it, make sure she knows. Then whisper it to her.
I'm not
Say, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you will never be president of the United States.
Maybe.
Ever.
I might do that. But I'm not going to do anything that's going to embarrass the kid or the wife or anything like that.
I know. Just slip her a note from the Patriot Source podcast. Yep. You will never be the president of the United States, ever.
I will say this. She has an absurdly large face.
No, she doesn't.
Yes, she does.
No, she doesn't.
And in real life, yes, she does. She's got a very, very large, like, it is like long and big. Trust me, she has a very, very large face.
Oh, face. I thought you said base.
No,
you're talking about her face.
Her actual face. Yes, her actual face. It is.
I thought you said base. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's got a bunch of sock puppet accounts. That's about it.
No, I understand. It's oddly large face.
All right. Okay. So I don't need to play the digital soldiers remark. I'm going to play it because now I'm starting to hear this in a brand new light.
Army of digital soldiers. What we are now, what we call, I call them, because this was an insurgency, folks. This was run like an insurgency. This was irregular warfare at its finest in politics. And that story will will continue to be told here, but we have what we call citizen journalists.
Citizen journalist. I'm still a little bit taken aback by the fact that it now appears that those digital soldiers have been turned in on the administration that we all fought so hard, fought alongside him to try to get elected.
Yeah.
It's upsetting.
And I mean, let's be realistic. Let's be honest. What actually is not going the way that it's supposed to? We've got some elevated gas prices right now, temporary, but we know that we can actually see the forest for the trees. We all can wrap our head around the bigger picture. At least some of us can. I mean, if you're one of these black pill doom and gloomers and you spend all of your time trying to amplify and push out absolute hoaxes, I mean, let's just think about some of the things that these people have spent time amplifying. Erica Kirk is trans. Erica Kirk is a lesbian. What was the one from a couple of weeks ago that was just stupid? Erica Kirk was caught on a phone call by the DOJ offering to be a recruiter for Jeffrey Epstein, right? These are things that this whole group that we're talking about now, right? These people, the Ivan Reichlands, the Emerald Johnsons, the artist formerly known as whatever the fuck his name is, the Mattas, the Mappins, the Ian Carroll. This is the network that we're all referring to, that Alexis is talking about, right? These are all the players. These are the influencers. And then you've got all of the bots and stuff that do most of the dirty work for them. Think about the most insane things that they have tried to push out there as fact.
Yep.
Like, for instance, they're out there now telling you that Trump just ordered the deployment of 8,000 Marines to invade Iran.
Yeah, they did.
Well, that didn't fucking happen at all.
I'm seeing that from people that usually engage in my comment section that are freaking out about it, really worried, upset that Donald Trump's getting ready to drop 8,000 Marines in Iran. And it's demonstrably false.
It is.
Now, I know you did a little bit of digging on that. Can you tell the story? What's actually happening with the 8,000 Marines?
Well, first of all, it's not 8,000 Marines. It's like 2,500. There are Marine expeditionary units who like float around in the ocean all the time. Like they take turns. Okay. They do like shifts.
They do a little more than float around in the ocean.
Right. They do a little bit more. Right. But so you had, I think it's the 24th MEU and the 31st MEU. 24th MEU, I believe, is from Pendleton. No, from Lejeune, if I'm not mistaken. And they regularly, them and a couple of other 2nd Marine MEUs, they go back and forth from the Middle East. They've been doing it since at least 2001.
Yep.
Right. So there is an already scheduled, I think it was 24th MEU, an already scheduled float that was getting ready to leave. They just left like a week earlier.
Yep.
They left like a week earlier. And then there was another one over from 3rd Marines over in the Pacific, which is, Camp Hansen, it's Okinawa, those guys. I think it's 31st MEU. These MEUs are already out there. They were already there. They just got redirected. And you know what they're doing? They're sitting on fucking boats. They're going to sit on boats like they always do.
Let me ask you guys a question. If Donald Trump was going to send a bunch of boots on the ground in Iran, why would he send 8,000 new people when he's already got 50,000 boots in the Gulf right now, scattered all across different installations? Why would he send 8,000 when he already has 50,000?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because he's trying to have a fucking negotiation with them right now.
Oh, he's having a negotiation.
President Trump does not negotiate from a position of neutrality or weakness. He's like, we're going to negotiate the end of this, of us stomping your faces into the sand, and we're going to do it as I'm calling in more and more of my badasses that will destroy you.
Well, they've already talked about what these folks are going to be doing when they're there. They're going to be floating around in the water. These 8,000, and it's not just Marines, it's sailors as well. They're going to be on boats.
Oh yeah, because Marines don't sail boats. They ride on Navy's boats, right?
They're basically going to be providing what they called maritime security.
Yeah, for like the Straits of
Hormuz.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing.
Like international oil can flow through the
But
strait.
here's the deal. I'm just going to say it. And I know I may be one of the few people out here that are willing to say this. I don't know if you guys are willing to say this or accept this yet, but if we have to put a bunch of boots on the ground for a short period of time to help the Iranian people actually get out of their house and overtake what's left of the IRGC and the Ayatollahs, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that for a very, very short period of time, as long as I understand the mission and they get the hell out of there as soon as it's done. I'm all right with that.
You're not going to have Marines. You're going to have, I don't know. We have airborne, 82nd Airborne or something. Like, go in there and wipe them out.
That's
Who
right.
cares?
That's right. So I'm seeing that, but it's like, I don't know how many times Donald Trump has to tell the media, has to tell you, he has no plans to send boots on the ground in Iran before you realize that he has no plans to send boots to the ground in Iran.
Hold on. Let me
they have plans, but he's not intending to put boots on the ground.
Of course they have plans. They have plans to do all that stuff. Of course they do. I'm going to send, hold on. I want to bring this up because now I'm very, very, very annoyed the fact that this is happening. Keep talking. I'm sorry.
I don't know what to talk about. If you're bringing something up I'm not familiar
with.
I'm
incredibly exhausted and tired of these people just making crap up, just making shit up, and we're all supposed to panic and freak out like this guy. Okay. Here we go. Come on. Video file. And this guy.
The Marines, an additional 2,500 Marines deployed to Iran. I think that brings the number up to 7,500. I'm going to call that 8,000. You're all going to die.
That guy.
We're all going to die? This is the same guy.
I'm old enough to remember this is the same guy that said Donald Trump has just called up 4,000 Marines to deploy to Venezuela, and they're all going to get killed by the 1 million man militia that Maduro has at his disposal. How the fuck did that work out for you, Chris?
Can we make a new rule on the podcast?
No more Chris Valenti?
Folks, I'm going to need your guys' help in the chat. We need a new rule. I can deal with the stupidity of Candace Owens and the artist formerly known as whatever the hell his name is, and I cannot deal with Chris Valenti. I can't. I cannot handle Chris Valenti. The guy is disgusting. I'm sorry, but I have a really hard time taking anybody that has gigantic man boobs seriously, and it looks like he hasn't showered in weeks. I can't do it. So I am going to make an executive decision. No more Chris Valenti on this show. What do you guys think?
Hold on. Hold on.
No. Okay. Let's vote on it. No more Chris Valenti.
How many times have I said no more Candace,
stuff in the
no more of that bullshit? I don't want to
yeah,
talk
but
about
Candace
any more
is
of this
relevant.
Stuff. And we can. Well,
this
that's
guy's
relevant.
SK, what are you putting in the Dropbox? Oh no.
No, you can't put stuff in the Dropbox that we haven't read.
Okay, we've read this, or I've read this. I'm pulling this. We're just SK's leading the show today. All right. So SK from the
in
chat
charge of the show. We
is
had
in charge
so
of the
much
show.
more that we wanted to talk about too.
I know, but this is actually relevant. Oh shoot, you need to take something off the screen.
For instance, I'm just going to tease this to the chat while you're bringing it up. Did you guys know that
the artist formerly known as for Prez? Can you get rid of that?
What?
So I can get rid of the MTG for Prez.
Yeah, the art. Did you guys know that the artist formerly known as whatever the? Sorry, I just punched my microphone. Whatever the hell his name is, slid into my DMs yesterday. Slid into my DMs.
Okay, yeah. SK, what do you want us to know about this?
Who Killed Charlie Kirk is such a badass resource. Huge props to the guys that put that together.
Yeah, well, we know who put it together.
Robinson did. Hey, why do we have a bunch of conservatives out there literally working for the defense team for Tyler Robinson? Why do we have that? Why is that a thing?
Because if Tyler Robinson is convicted, then they cannot run with the narrative that the FBI covered up the assassination of Charlie Kirk on behalf of Israel. That's why. Because Israel is the wedge. It is the inflection point. Yeah. Okay. So put that back up because I don't want to. It's not a PSP if SK isn't derailing the whole thing. Yeah, no shit. But we love when you derail it. This is fun, even though Nam and I had this whole thing mapped out in our head, and SK has totally taken over.
Allegedly, this website was started.
Allegedly, this website is being run and operated not only by John Mappin, you know, the Scientologist, that's Candace Owens' best friend,
British guy, the UK,
but also George Farmer.
Oh, George Farmer. Here we go.
That's right.
Hey, if you're listening, the artist formerly known as whatever the fuck your name is, that's what I was trying to explain to you today. Yeah. George Farmer, when you slid into my DMs, because you have no clue what's actually going on with the price of oil or Iran or any of this stuff. By the way, here's a hint. It's not Israel. That's the problem. It's not. It's actually the central bankers in London.
Well,
it's Lloyd's of London. It's the futures market, the folks who own the commodities. I don't say commodities, but the rare earth futures markets. They're all British. The ones who are driving Candace Owens, like they shoved their hand up Candace Owens' ass and they're doing this like this. Her own husband is doing that, right? That you know that, right?
Yep.
That's her own husband doing that. George Farmer.
It's probably other people doing it through her husband, but yes.
Same thing.
Yep.
It's a proxy.
Let's do this because I feel like we're going to take back control of our show for a few minutes, SK, since you know you're in the chat and there's a bit of a delay between when you can respond and when I can talk. So it's time to pull up this guy.
He did. Patriotic critical thinker. He did say that he is willing to testify for the defense that there are still angles that need to be investigated of foreign involvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's willing to testify.
I'm gonna fucking tell it to you anyway. Trump's declared we won the war. Yep, we won the war, and the only thing that's preventing it from being over is fake news. I have no fucking idea how that works or makes any fucking sense.
Well, I'll tell you,
because you're an idiot. I mean, seriously.
Do you guys remember when this started? Do you guys literally? So it was late. It was early in the wee hours of Saturday morning, late Friday night. I think it was like 1 a.m. Central Time when it started happening because I was on TikTok live and everybody's losing their minds about it. And you ended up coming up actually at like 2:30 in the morning.
Isn't it crazy that the things that you and I were talking about that night are exactly what's playing out right now? Exactly 100%. What's playing out.
100%.
Exactly.
Do you remember? I think it was later that morning. President Trump came out and he said, "Listen, this is going to take 4 to 6 weeks." And I think it was Sunday. He's like, "Wow, we're already way ahead of schedule. 4 to 6 weeks." What are we like? What are we like? 4 weeks into this? Is it 4?
It'll be 4 weeks? Tomorrow. 4 Friday. 4 on Friday.
4 weeks on Friday. And that guy doesn't understand why President Trump would be saying, "Hey, we're done." I mean, they've obliterated 92% of Iran's navy. It's like gone. It's as Hegseth said, we decided we were going to share the ocean with them. We just gave them the bottom half.
Yeah. Can we play this again real quick? Just because I just want to marvel at the epic stupidity of people who are acting as though they don't know what's actually happening in the world. They don't know. He just doesn't know.
Be ready to hear, but I'm gonna fucking tell it to you anyway. Trump's declared we won the war. Yep, we won the war, and the only thing that's preventing it from being over is fake news. I have no fucking idea how that works or makes any fucking sense.
Well, let me show you how that works. Nam, I think I'm gonna need you to get it. No, let me see. All right, I'm gonna see if I can pull up some images one by one here. All right. What the artist formerly known as, I don't know what the heck his name is, apparently does not know is that Donald Trump has actually been negotiating. Damn it. There's too many things up here. Take down.
We don't need Flynn Farah. We don't need. There should be plenty of room now.
It says we're at 10.
We're not.
I need
2, 4, 6, 8.
Get rid of the Patriot Source logo. We don't need that. Get rid of who killed Charlie Kirk Webb. We don't need that. We can pull the Brent Crude stuff back up a little bit later.
Oh, I can't get rid of that. You brought that up.
What? This is a total.
You brought up the Charlie Kirk thing. I can't. I told you I can't delete. All right. There's plenty of room now. Do it.
Okay. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Donald Trump has actually been negotiating with Iran, not with the IRCG. Because the IRCG has been totally decimated.
IRGC.
Whatever. IRGC has been absolutely decimated.
Guard Corps.
They are a shell of what they used to be. You've got some random pockets of people who had predetermined plays and scripts and timing and things that they had set out. And you probably got a bunch of 12th level idiots that are just running around pushing rocket buttons at this point because they don't know what else to do because they can't communicate. They have no Navy. Their military is broken. They have no Air Force. You've got a bunch of, their Navy is so bad that they're literally getting speedboats out now at this point and running around the Straits of Hormuz trying to figure out how they're going to stop giant tankers from flowing through there. That's what they're doing. But the back channel diplomacy that Donald Trump has been engaging in is it's incredible what he's doing right now. And when I read off this list of countries that have been engaged in the negotiations, it's going to sound very, very, very familiar to you. Egypt, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Oman. Do you know who those countries are? Many of those countries are the ones who have been engaging with Israel and the United States and the Abraham Accords. Most of them sit on the board of peace. You guys know the board of peace that Trump set up in the Middle East so that they could help raise money to rebuild Gaza. And if for some reason the radical leftists are outraged by it. But you've got Egypt, who's actually setting up the direct communication channels between the United States and the country of Iran. You've got Turkey, who is making those conversations happen. You have Pakistan, which is willing to host the discussions. And you have Oman, who's engaging in maritime security. So for the artist formerly known as, I don't know what the hell his name is, to come out and say he doesn't understand this, it's because he's not paying attention. Even the freaking Wall Street Journal is reporting this stuff.
Or he's pretending like he understands what's going on. He just doesn't want to have been proven wrong. Because remember, every single one of them called this another never-ending war. They called it another regime change. They said there will be boots on the ground. They all said it was going to be World War III, just like they did with Venezuela. And this guy specifically engaged with me and then tried to slide into my DMs like some weird creeper. Hey, buddy, how's gas prices doing where you are? I mean, they're not bad comparatively, like at all.
Well, we'll talk about gas prices in a minute.
We will,
because
but
I want to show you.
But he doesn't want. They don't want to be proven wrong, right?
That's right.
And they've been nothing but wrong this entire time.
You have to understand, in order for this coup d'etat against MAGA to be successful, we have to lose the war in Iran. Yep. And the problem that these idiots are facing is the exact opposite is happening. I just showed you the list of countries that are coming together to negotiate with the country of Iran to bring this thing to an end. And then you also have, just a few weeks ago, Lebanon banning Hezbollah military actions after an attack on Israel. Now, there's been some back and forth on this, whether or not Hezbollah has submitted to this, but you've got Lebanon, the country of Lebanon, saying we're not going to allow Hezbollah to continue to operate as an agent of Iran in our country anymore.
Do you know why?
Because they're
Iran has been decapitated. Because the people that were driving the chaos against Lebanon, against Pakistan, what do you guys think? Like the Lebanese government and Pakistani government, that they love the idea of having giant targets on their backs because Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis are in there just launching attacks wherever indiscriminately? No, they didn't have a choice because the people sitting in Tehran, and now they're not there. So now all of these people, all of these countries, Lebanon, Pakistan, even this guy here in Palestine, which we'll get to, they are now free to say, hey, terrorists, knock it the fuck off, because the biggest terrorist of them all, Iran, they're all dead.
This right here is absolutely massive. Do you understand that the Palestinian struggle has been the target of all of the case? Make sure you X out of the chat and hit the. That's right. Make sure you X out of the chat.
I'm going to go back up. SK, you missed it. You weren't here.
We already did it.
Hold on. No, we already did it. In honor of SK. SK, you missed this super chat that came in early on. In honor of SK, remember to close the chat and go thumbs up the stream.
That's right.
All right.
So the Palestinian Authority has come out and condemned Iranian attacks on Saudi Arabia. Like this is mind-blowingly important, folks. This isn't just some inconsequential statement from the Palestinian Authority. The struggle in the Middle East is between the Shia and the Sunni, right? The Iranian lunatics represent a radical version of Islam, Shia Islam. Saudi Arabia represents a more moderate version, Sunni Islam. And there's a lot more involved, but that's the foundation of it. Iran has operated as the agent of chaos in the Middle East using Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, for the purpose of using the Palestinians as their target against the West and against Israel. Assuming that Hamas and the Palestinians would side with the Iranian lunatic Shia version of Islam, the Palestinian Authority has now said, yeah, I think we're going to align with Saudi Arabia instead. Not just a diplomatic alignment, but what appears to be almost more of a moderate religious alignment as well. This could only happen, as that last comment said, Lisa Etter, brilliant. The Abraham Accords are working. Because remember, what is the point of the Abraham Accords? I don't understand. What is she vigorously denying? The Abraham Accords are a thing.
And they are working.
And they are working. And more importantly, the entire reason for the October 7th terrorist attack on Israel by Hamas, funded by Iran, was to stop the negotiation and the coming agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia for trade and partnership in the Middle East. I don't understand. What could she disagree with? Nonetheless, the Abraham Accords are working. When you see the Palestinian Authority starting to line up with Saudi Arabia, who is at least appears to be willing to negotiate and begin in partnership with Israel to isolate Iran, that is a massive, massive development in this fight. But that's not the only one. Did you see this? Did you guys see this? So the Board of Peace has offered terms to Hamas, a disarmament plan. And Hamas is actually considering it. Whether they accept it or not, we don't know. But when you have a Board of Peace that has Oman, it has Turkey, it has all these countries on it that are starting to push Hamas out of the picture and modernize the Palestinian area, this could not happen if Iran was still this incredible power that these people need for them to be. The only way that the idiot formerly known as Jess can be right and can succeed in this effort is if none of this stuff is happening. And yet here it is. It's all happening right in front of your face.
That's from the New York Times too, by the way. That's not some right-wing outlet. That's the New York Times reporting that. And you can only imagine how much they hated having to report that.
Yeah.
Because, as who was it that said it? So will the Free Palestine people ditch Palestine now? Probably. They don't serve their purpose anymore. They don't serve their purpose anymore.
They'll just shift. They'll shift focuses. It'll be something else. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, what is it that you guys are upset about? If you say that the reason why you're upset is because Donald Trump is not actually achieving the things that he said he was going to achieve, and he's actually in the process of achieving those things, I don't understand what you're upset about.
What more do you want? What do you want? Give us a list of what you want that you've not seen. What is it?
It's starting to sound like maybe you're just making it up. Maybe you don't care at all about what Donald Trump ever said he was going to do.
You want prosecutions? Cool. Literally earlier this week, or maybe it was Friday of last week, we showed you James Comey has been subpoenaed to come and testify in front of a grand jury, the grand jury that is hearing the case of the years-long grand conspiracy against rights, against the unitary executive, the president, and Donald Trump himself. That's the only way you get any prosecutions to any of the deep state actors over the last 10 years is if you tie it together into one long conspiracy. You're not going to get individual charges because the statute of limitations. Folks, why do you think it was so important that they stole the 2020 election? Because they had 4 years to run out the statute of limitations and turn the DOJ against us instead of where it actually should have been turned and prosecuting all those people for what they did the 5 years before that. There's no other way to do it. So what else do you want? You want Epstein files? You got 5 million of them. Give us a name. Who do you want prosecuted? And who's the victim? When did the crime happen? Where did it happen? What evidence do you have? Can you charge someone? Who is it? No, you can't. What else? What else do you want? What else do you want?
Well, Emerald Robinson, who I had always thought was, an advocate, someone that we were in this fight together with, wants you to know that Kash Patel was picked to be the FBI director, and then he did nothing.
Have we seen crime stats in this country?
Dan Bongino was picked to be the assistant FBI director, and he did nothing. So people start to yell, you guys did nothing. And then Kash Patel's girlfriend replied, these complaints are a Russian plot.
Well,
I'm sorry, Emerald. I don't know you. I don't really care to. But you may have accurately captured the lunacy from the cancer, the rot, the tick that has inserted itself in the rear end of MAGA and is trying to suck the lifeblood out of it. But this is just the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard. It is probably the dumbest argument I've ever heard. Dan Bongino was picked to be assistant FBI director, and he did nothing. Kash Patel was picked to be the FBI director, and he did nothing. Are you kidding me? Have you guys seen this? 2025 FBI historic year. I can't read that, so I'm going to pull it up on my big screen here. I need to go get my glasses. I think they're in, or they will be here soon. And then you're going to see PatriotDad putting on his old readers every time.
I'll read it.
To read something. All right.
I'll read it.
Ooh, I got a big up here on this
112%
screen.
increase in violent crime arrests year over year. 112%. Do you guys know what 100% increase means? It means it doubled, right? Hold on. So listen, I think we need to have a conversation about what is the FBI supposed to do? Like, what is their actual job? What is their actual
job? Is to investigate crimes.
Yeah, federal crimes, right? Federal crimes, to investigate federal crimes, right? Is their job to be solely focused on prosecuting politicians? No. Like, that's like not even close to their only job. Like, we have a massive federal legal set of federal statutes in this country. That's their job, to enforce all of those. There's a lot of them. There's like Title 1, Title 2, Title 10, Title 18, all the titles, right? All the things, all those titles. That's the FBI's job. It's not just to go and arrest and prosecute James Comey, John Brennan, Hillary Clinton, all those people. So while they were actually doing FBI shit, here's what you get. You get 112% increase in violent crime arrests year over year. Why do you think that's doing nothing? Do you know what happens when you arrest twice as many people engaged in violent crime? You get a lot fucking less violent crime, which we've seen. You get a lot less of it, don't you?
Yep.
That's a good thing. You get a 20% decrease in homicides. Hey, that's 20% less people that are dead or would have been dead if Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were doing nothing. You got 20% decrease in robberies. Hey, no one likes to be robbed. That's my shit. Quit stealing it. The IRS does it anyway. 9% decrease in aggravated assaults. 1,800 gangs and criminal enterprises disrupted. That's a 210% increase. That's 3 times the amount of violent gangs and criminal enterprises broken up than what we saw year over year under the Biden administration. I mean, this list is, it's insane. It is crazy. 7 of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives were captured.
I think it's 8, isn't it? I think they found another one.
Maybe. If they did, it's in the last couple of days. 8. Fine. 8. There's like nobody left on the top 10. They're going to have to create another top 10 list.
That's right.
This is the exact opposite of nothing's happening. This is the exact opposite. This is exactly what the FBI is supposed to be doing, Emerald Robinson. And the problem I have with you, Emerald, is you fucking know that.
Yep. But you also need to go down here to the really important stuff, because the thing that they're going to try to latch onto is, well, we haven't seen any Epstein arrest yet. Well, duh. Do you think that Joe Biden and Merrick Garland and Christopher Wray and Jim Comey and that whole crew, Maureen Comey, Strzok, all of that, you think they were just going to leave a red carpet for an incoming Trump administration to come in and find every file they needed to prosecute them and their friends? You think that they were just going to leave that stuff laying around? Are you stupid? Are you stupid? Did you honestly think that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and the work that they did to reframe the FBI, do you think that they were going to walk in there and they were just going to have a nice, neat stack of prosecutable files that could be used to prosecute the people that they had spent the last 20 years protecting? Are you stupid? Instead, what the FBI was working on is 20% increase in FBI arrests related to the 764 network. Do you guys know what the 764 network is?
Disgusting
it is
human beings.
A horrific organization of online predators. 6,000 plus child victims located. A 30% increase. 1,700 predators arrested. That's almost 20% increase. 300 plus human traffickers arrested. Almost a 15% increase. A 42% increase in counterintelligence arrests.
Those are spies, by the way, arresting people who are spying on behalf of other countries like China, Iran, Israel. Yeah, because we do catch some of those guys too, by the way, and they arrest them. Russia.
So we had our friend Shipwreck Show, not Shipwreck Crew, because Shipwreck Crew is actually a really good account, but Shipwreck Show, we showed a clip from her on Monday. And at this point, I can't help but ask the question, are you dumb or are you just lying to people? Because I don't think you're dumb, Emerald Robinson. I don't think you're dumb, Shipwreck Show. Actually, I think you're both incredibly smart. So the only logical conclusion out of that is that you're full of shit and you're lying to people. For you to make the allegation that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, all these people, John Ratcliffe, all these people, Harmeet Dillon, these folks who stood shoulder to shoulder with Donald Trump and the American people and took the arrows and took the abuse that was coming at them from the grand conspirators, the deep state. If you honestly expect people to believe that they're suddenly going to walk into office and they're just going to flip, maybe you are stupid. I don't know. Maybe you are dumb, or maybe you're full of shit. Maybe you're just full of crap. Did you really think that they were just going to leave all this stuff laying around so that they could be prosecuted?
We'll ask you all again, because I don't think they're stupid either. We're going to ask you all again. How long did it take from the time that the Biden administration, Merrick Garland, got into office before they had the first significant arrest, even related to January 6th?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. Do you know why? Because that's how long it takes to build federal cases, right? The difference between this years-long conspiracy and all the things that you guys say nothing's happening about is you actually have to be able to prove that these crimes were committed, and you do that with documentation. You do it with understanding intent, mapping bank accounts, and that stuff takes fucking... This is not Don Lemon on camera walking in and violating the civil rights of people in a church. That was a probable cause affidavit.
That's right.
That that was all easy to do. These are very, very hard. And then you have the very significant hurdle of statute of limitations. You guys know this. You all know this. You're just choosing to lie to the people that are now clicking on your content, because I think people like us have stopped clicking on your content because it's not compelling anymore. You're not compelling anybody.
Well, thank you, SK, because she actually navigated a good part of this show. So even though she's not here, she's here in spirit and in real life. And is see, the thing is, we've convinced everyone that SK just kind of shows up and like we do all the work and she just shows up and looks great. But the real truth of the matter is she's the backbone of the show. I mean,
she does all the work like all week long during the day.
She's the
sends us
backbone.
all the stuff, and then we
Yep.
we have to figure out what the hell how we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, but
Actually,
she's
yeah.
the backbone of the show, and it took us about 20 minutes to like get our bearings without her here.
Yeah, we're like, I don't even know what the hell we're gonna talk about.
We should have just canceled the show without SK. Anyway, let's switch gears a little bit, because your buddy, the artist formerly known as whatever the hell his name is, did he actually send you a DM? Hey, buddy,
He
how's
slid
gas
into my
prices?
DMs. Yeah, he
How's
slid into my
gas
DMs.
prices going?
Yeah, he's like, how's gas prices going and where you live? Because we had this row early on, because I probably still have the video somewhere. I mean, I think it was 3 weeks ago now, maybe, where he said, well, Trump fucked up. He's ruined the rest of his presidency and his entire legacy. And it's the worst president that's ever lived. You're going to have $150 to $200 barrel gas of crude oil as a result of this. I mean, it was all the black pill, the doom and gloom bullshit stuff. We all know it. And I immediately responded to it, because I was sitting there looking at WTI crude prices at $83 a barrel. And I'm like, what? Well, that's not $150 to $200 a barrel. And well, just wait. Okay. I mean, we waited.
Wait, it's coming.
We've waited.
It's coming.
I've waited. Yeah. I mean, we've waited a long time. We've waited exactly 4 weeks. We've seen the worst that I think we're going to see from Iran. I'll get out of there.
Yeah, it's this
We've seen the worst they had to offer.
This one.
That's
the other.
No, it's not this. It's this
No,
one.
the other one. This is the international, the global. That's the global price. This is the domestic price.
And this
is
is after hours today. When I was looking at this earlier, it's like
it was about 80. It's about 87 around 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, it was. And this will go back down into the 80s by morning, because you got contracts that need to be settled and all this stuff. These are what people are trying to sell it for, right? And this is all going to be settled. You're going to be back down in the 80s. And I'm going to tell you right now, here's what's going to happen. Because and when he slid into my DMs, he's like, I want you to go out and make a video about your $50 barrel of oil theory. And even if nobody else watches it, I will. And I was like, dude, when the bots and the sock puppets are watching and engaging your content, does that really count? Does it? I don't think it does.
No.
But here's the point, and here's what this guy's missing, right? So President Trump, as we know, for 10 years now, has been working on insulating the United States of America from the massive global fluctuations in oil prices by causing the United States to be a net producer of oil. And we looked at all the numbers. We looked at the charts. Was it Monday when we were producing more oil than multiple Middle Eastern countries and way more natural gas than almost all of them? Tons of them. Which is why in the United States, we have an entirely different crude oil price than the rest of the world does. And I gotta be honest with you, the rest of the world's paying a little bit more. I mean, this Brent crude, this is like the international price. It's over 100, and I think PatriotDad said that there's a couple of markets where it's up to $150. I don't fucking care.
Yep.
I don't care. You know why? Because here's what happens. Here's what's happening. Artist formerly known as whatever the hell his name is. You're getting Iran off of the chessboard and their ability to impact global energy prices and global shipping routes, right, through the Strait of Hormuz. So that was all. We know that was all baked into insurance premiums. $5 to $15 per barrel was added just because Iran and that regime existed. But what's more important, right, is you take the sanctioned oil from both Venezuela and Iran out of the market, and that prevents China from being able to buy energy at a significant discount because they're buying sanctioned energy and they're doing it in their currency, not the US dollar. Do you have any idea what that does to the United States, to the US dollar, when China has to enter the actual international crude oil market using the US dollar to purchase? I mean, that's a no fucking brainer to me. How is it not to you? How do you not understand the importance of that? I can't wrap my head around it. So you know what? Yeah, well, I'm paying. I think I saw I drove down from Mississippi State down to home. Yeah, $349 for 87. My truck takes premium. I was paying $429. You know what? I'm happy to do it for a couple of weeks and a couple of months so that we can get to permanent $50 and $60 barrel. Let me bring this up. You guys understand this? Look at this. Look at this. This is This is the year's chart. There was about 5 months under Trump from October until middle of February where we hovered right about the $60 mark. This is going to be in perpetuity when this is all said and done. It's going to be less than this. This is what people do. It's going to be less. And this is the domestic market. This is not the international market. International market, we can certainly do that. You can, the international market can be down here in the space of 70, 80 bucks a barrel.
Yep.
But frankly, I don't care. It's not my problem.
I want to make another point here, though, and it's a really important one to make. Pull up the $91 again. You guys know that's fake, right?
Yeah.
You guys know that that number of 91.34 is not real. It's not based on any actual conditions on the ground.
It's based on futures markets, right?
It's based on people who are driving up the price for a reason. 2 reasons, actually. But it's not real. And how do I know it's not real? Well, because nothing has actually changed in the supply of available gasoline or oil. This is a chart that shows you U.S. transportation fuel ending inventories from 1990 to 2026. You'll notice that this dark part of the stack bar here on the bottom shows motor gasoline, which is what you guys are ultimately paying for at the pump. Do you see from 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026, do you see any difference that would lead to a 30% increase in the price of a barrel of fuel? Do you see that? You see, in a market that is driven by supply and demand, a free market system, which we're supposed to be operating under, although it's pretty obvious we're not, then this is what would be driving the price that you're paying at the pump. Did you also notice that as soon as the attacks on Iran were announced, instantly you woke up the next morning and gas prices had shot up 50, 60% overnight? But did you also notice that when gas prices fell down, because there was a couple periods recently where oil prices plummeted. I think one day they dropped down around 60. And then they were down around 80 something today. Did you see the price of your gasoline come down?
Nope.
No, as a matter of fact, you saw it continue to rise. You see, what's happening in the oil's future market is that oil contracts are traded by the globalists that Donald Trump is breaking the back of right now. So for the idiots, the dummy artist formerly known as whatever his name is, jumping into your DMs, asking you the question, how are your gas prices going? You just ask him why he's shilling for the globalists, because that's the exact thing that the globalists are trying to get idiots like him to ask you.
Yeah.
That's the point. There is no reason why oil prices should be up around 90 bucks right now. None at all.
At least not domestic supply.
Not domestic supply.
Nope.
Zero.
Nope. None whatsoever.
This is part of the globalist strategy to inflict maximum pain on you because Donald Trump is breaking them. I mean, I don't know how to describe it.
That's exactly right. I mean, we saw, again, it's the same conversation, the Lloyd's of London, the insurance premiums, and just refusing to actually insure these things. All of these things are levers that they have been able to pull for centuries, not just years, not decades, but centuries. They've been able to pull these levers for centuries, and presidents in the United States for decades have been like, okay, I will stop. I'm sorry, you made my gas prices go up a little bit and people are mad. Well, yeah. Well, no shit. Of course people are mad. It hurts a little bit, but allowing them to continually have these levers is the problem.
That's right.
And that's what President Trump is doing. He's taking their levers away from them forever, at least as long as oil is our primary source of energy.
So I would be asking the artist formerly known as whatever the hell his name is, if he ever slid into my DMs, and he won't.
No.
Why it is that his rhetoric sounds exactly like Senator Mark Kelly, who just yesterday posted, this is from a gas station in Phoenix yesterday, $6.49 for a gallon of gas, all because Trump started war with no plan, and no idea how it would affect everyday Americans. No, you bumbling potato face idiot. That is not what happened. And as a matter of fact, U.S. Oil and Gas Association responded back and said, hello, Senator. This has already been pointed out, but allow us to reemphasize 33% of Arizona's gasoline, including entire Phoenix refined products market, comes from California refineries via pipeline. With California Democrat energy policies forcing the closure of major facilities, this dependency will mean higher prices and tighter supply ahead. Arizona has 0 refineries of its own. With your military background, you of all people recognize that recent events have shown how unwise it is to allow an economy to be at risk of foreign choke points halfway across the world. Arizona is no different. And they recommend Arizona decouple itself from California energy policy. So when you have artist formerly known as whatever the hell his name is, who is allegedly a MAGA supporter who's turned on Donald Trump and the agenda, suddenly sounding exactly like Mark Kelly, that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yep. Exactly like Mark Kelly.
It's part of the coup against the country and the plan and the agenda that you voted for. But we're going to go a little bit deeper. Do you mind if we jump into this, Nam?
Let's do it.
So, to this crowd of nothing is happening, I saw this, and this is probably just a sock puppet account, but I saw it and I was like, I think we need to respond to this. So this is Walt, whoever the hell Walt is. Walt's probably not even a real person. Walt says, sad, Trump abandoned Agenda 47. That's where his downfall lies. Very simple. And my response to Walt was he's implementing with incredible precision. Perhaps the problem is you don't know what to look for. So I decided that we would spend a couple of minutes tonight actually looking at Agenda 47 to see if he's abandoned it, because it's probably been a while since anybody has actually looked at Agenda 47.
Well, I mean, this is actually a really good exercise because don't we have an entire cadre of influencers out there and, you know, very charismatic people and their army of bots and sock puppets who are telling us that nothing's happening, that they're not doing anything. Trump's abandoning everything that he ran on. Really? Okay. Well, let's take a look at what he actually ran on, shall we? And let's
apparently
see where
MAGA Jake says that we are cracking him up. I'm glad that we could provide some comedic entertainment.
Why are we cracking him up? What are we doing?
Because we're funny. That's the thing. That's what makes this show so great is we're actually
You are
funny.
not funny, dude. Like not even a little bit. I'm slightly funny. You are not funny.
How do I get this on the screen? Oh, I need to take this one off, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, remove this and then put it back up. All right. So I just pulled the first one I could find. All right. So this is Agenda 47. I actually took this from the Butler County GOP. And it actually has all of the videos. Because if you remember when he released this, Donald Trump on his campaign website recorded a whole bunch of short videos and stuff for it. But let's go through Agenda 47. And I want you guys in the comments to do me a favor. I want you to keep a tally sheet of all of the things on this list of agenda that Donald Trump has already done or is currently in the process of doing. Okay. Oh, SK, he's not talking about us. He's talking about, do we even need to be here? Because these guys are having a ball in the chat. And no, I don't think anyone's even.
Hey, we're just talking to each other, man. We haven't paid attention to the chat at all. So, you know what? Screw the chat. They can talk to themselves. We're going to keep right on going, talking to ourselves. I want to know where we are. I would like a,
I know you haven't done this exercise yet, Nam. I did this exercise today, and probably one of the biggest defenders of this agenda because I've studied it and I understand it. The artist formerly known as whatever the F his name is always making me laugh. Yeah.
See, told you.
All right. So upon his first days in office, remember, you guys in the chat, you're keeping score. I want you to keep track of the number of things that he's succeeded at or is in the process of succeeding at. Seal the border and stop a migrant invasion. Nam,
check.
Has he sealed the border and stopped the migrant
invasion?
If
you're going to check with me, each one of these is going to be a long list.
Okay.
I'll go check. You read. Right. I'll say yes or no. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's doing it or done it.
Carrying out the largest deportation operation in American history.
In progress. Yes. Now, I'm going to caveat that by saying for the people who say nothing's happening and he's not deporting anybody, he knows as well as I do, and a number of other people do, that in order to be able to actually deport people in mass, you've got to get the gangs and thugs and street terrorists and cartel members out of the way, because they will cause havoc if you don't. So they're gone first, and now we got 3 years to get the rest of them. So yes, check, happening.
All right. So SK is totally disrupting the chat. She's not allowed. If she's going to call in sick, she's not allowed to show up in the chat anymore, because she's totally
keep them engaged. She can stay.
I'm just joking.
What's she doing? What is she doing?
I don't know. She's carrying on conversations, asking like how old people are and their family members.
No, they're
she's getting to know
they
people.
They can walk and chew gum. They can multitask. Yes. See, look. Someone says we're listening, PD and Nom. Stephanie Carter. Yeah, let's go. Just keep
all right.
going.
So we've sealed the border and we've stopped the migrant invasion. Check. We are in the process of carrying out the largest deportation operation in American history. Check. End inflation and make America affordable again. He's ended inflation. He's ended inflation,
but he's working on the affordable part. The problem we're going to have with the affordable part is corporations are not going to be very interested in cutting their profits. Right? Their prices go up, but generally they don't come down, at least not willingly.
Well, and ending real inflation over the long term is not, you can't end it quickly. It's not something that you can just like say, we're not going to do it anymore, because the bottom line is this stuff is so baked into the supply chain that it's going to take a while to get out. And the biggest problem is that we don't have the manufacturing capacity here to be able to end it right. It takes time to actually address inflation the right way. And the money supply has to be pulled out. There's so many pieces of this puzzle that have to be fixed that take time.
And again, it took the Biden administration 18 months. It wasn't until June of 2022 until you saw the first massive spike in inflation. They went to 9% year over year, June of 2022. It took that long from Biden's first 100 days of executive orders and calamities and disasters after that to create what ended up being 25% compounded inflation over 2.5 years.
That's right.
It took 18 months for Biden's economy to start really causing the damage that it really did.
That's right. All right. Number 4, make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far.
Check.
I mean, not only check, but like shove it down your throat type check.
Yep.
Like now producing more oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. Which, by the way, for all of you idiots out there who have been basing your hatred and your frustration with Donald Trump on this narrative that he's stupid and he just doesn't know that he's got a bunch of gatekeepers around him, you realize that he's been working on this energy independence thing since he came down the elevator? Like, this is a strategy that somebody you think is stupid has consistently been deploying with incredible precision to get us to a point where you can have a war with Iran at the same time that you're producing more oil than Saudi Arabia combined.
Well, but also imagine how stupid someone like President Trump is to know 11 years ago that he wanted to do this so that he could then get to a place to be able to safely and without destroying the economy in this country. The global economies, Europe, EU, they're fucked. China's already screwed. They did it themselves. But to be able to insulate our economy in such a way that he could then know in advance that he's going to go and lop the head off of the worst regimes on the planet and not take a significant hit to our economy in the process.
That's
a dumb man to be able to strategize all of that out over 11 years. Yeah, sure.
All right. Number 5, stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. We've brought in at this point $21 trillion of either received or planned investment from countries all around the world to do that. $21 trillion.
Doubles our GDP. That doubles our GDP, by the way.
Number 6, large tax cut for workers and no tax on tips. Did he do that? Yep,
Big,
sure did.
Bill.
Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Every single one of those he's done.
Check.
Number 8, prevent World War III. restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. Now, I know there's some of you that want to believe that what Donald Trump has done in Iran is, in fact, World War III, but it's going to be the lamest world war that you've ever experienced when it wraps up here in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yep.
And produces decades of quasi peace in the Middle East. Because I don't think you're ever going to get full peace in the Middle East just because you have a bunch of lunatics, Shia there. You're always going to probably have some type of disruption happening, but it's not going to be funded and organized from a nation state. That's for sure.
Correct.
End the weaponization of government against the American people. This is
Folks,
probably going to be the hardest one for people to swallow right there.
Well, hold on.
I
It
know
shouldn't
you're going.
be hard.
Take it there.
It should not be hard for people to swallow because it is the precise reason why people are running around saying nothing's happening. If President Trump wanted his DOJ to be weaponized exactly like Merrick Garland under the auto pen and and Obama, frankly, if they wanted a weaponized DOJ, he could have had all these people in jail already. Now, nothing would have happened to him because he would have had judges who would have looked at the weaponized cases and been like, no, they already have a massive hill that they have to climb to get indictments in a lot of these jurisdictions. Even when they're done the right way, they're going to be super hard to do. We all need to wrap our brains around that. Unless you are in Southern District of Florida or some red state, you're not going to get an indictment. I mean, SK has spent how many shows explaining to us, Norm Eisen and all those guys, they're out there literally training people in Washington, D.C. to get on grand juries, to nullify grand juries and juries, to let these people off in advance. They're training them on how to do that. Okay. The fact that they are choosing to fix the DOJ instead of weaponize it is the reason why most of you people are mad. You actually are telling the world that you want weaponization when it's your DOJ in power. You just really hated it when it's somebody else's. No, that's not what they're doing. Okay, now we're swallowing. I'm not mature enough.
We have lost absolute control over SK in the chat. She has gone rogue.
I'm not mature enough. What's going on?
I don't know. I think I made a comment.
Now we're swallowing.
I made a comment about this is going to be the hardest one for some people to swallow. And of course, SK took it in a totally wrong direction because she's down there intentionally firebombing our chat.
Yeah.
It's spot on, Nam, spot on. The reason why some of this is taking so long is because Donald Trump has ended the weaponization of government against the American people. Because believe it or not, the grand conspirators are in fact Americans, and they are due the constitutional rights that are given to them.
For instance, President Trump was brought up on 34 counts of, we still don't even know what the actual guilty verdict, what he was convicted of. We don't know. It was a range of crimes. I think there were like 5 of them.
He was convicted of a range of crimes. Yeah.
He was convicted, but understand what happened, right? The original misdemeanors were already outside of the statute of limitations. So they weaponized the process. They weaponized the state attorney general's office. They weaponized the DA there in New York City so that they could then upcharge it to a felony after the statute of limitations had already passed. You don't see that happening. You don't see things that are outside the statute of limitations. Well, actually, that's not entirely true because that's where the years-long conspiracy is coming from, right? Yep. But it actually is a years-long conspiracy, and they've got to make the case. Jake needs a mail-order bride. What the hell? Is it going to be Eastern European or is it going to be Asian mail-order bride?
No, she's encouraging him to find an Iranian mail-order bride because Iranians are beautiful.
Yeah, those Persians. Well, I mean, Eastern European women are too, for what it's worth.
So apparently SK is the goat in the chat. We may actually have to send her randomly into the chat when we need to liven things up and shows where she's actually on the panel. We'll just give her a 5 to 10 minute break and let her go into the chat to kind of liven.
She already does that
and then come back.
Remember, there's so many times where we're like, SK, are you paying attention? She's like, no, I was in the chat. All right. So, stop the migrant crime. Okay.
Stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. Holy crap. Can you check every single one of those? And
Every one of them.
every one of them, every single one of those things is what he's focused on in the first year. All right,
Did you
number
know
11.
that you could walk down the street of Memphis right now without being
You can walk
accosted?
to Washington, D.C. without being accosted. Did you know that?
Mhm.
It's crazy. Rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Number 12, but check, by the way. Strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. It's so powerful that people who thought that they could survive in a global conflict with us have tuck-tailed and ran. That's why you're starting to see Putin.
It's so powerful that you had like a platoon of Delta dudes go into Venezuela and apparently take out 1 million Maduro militiamen or whatever that moron said was going to happen. Guys, they went in and they literally kidnapped the president, the dictator of an entire whole ass country, and brought him back and his wife. Come on.
All right, number 13, keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. No, weren't you just talking about this?
I was, because
did you know that was part of Agenda 47?
I did. What happened to BRICS? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and who was the Saudi Arabia? Was that the fourth?
No, South Africa.
South Africa. How's that new currency going that was supposed to displace the U.S. dollar, guys?
At this point, BRICS exists solely as an X account pumping out propaganda. That's what it is. There is an X account called BRICS News that is pumping out propaganda like Tehran Ted does. That's what it is. All right, 14, fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. He's constantly or consistently supported Social Security, even though I think we should probably do something about that. Number 15, cancel the electric vehicle mandate.
If you weed out and you wipe out most of the fraud in Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, I don't think you have the problems that you have.
That's true. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. He's done that. And then 16, cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory. I mean, he's done every single one of these.
Deport pro-Hamas. Secure
our elections. Now, this is the one that he's having a hard time with, because you got a bunch of senators who apparently are perfectly okay with elections being stolen. That they're okay with it.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of incumbents who thoroughly enjoy the way that our elections operate right now.
Benefit from it.
They benefit, and that's Republicans and Democrats. That's why they don't want incumbents are very difficult to unseat because of the way that incumbents have written election laws. Right? It takes a crap ton of money when you have 40 days of early voting, and now we've got some of these Democrat states who are trying to enshrine the ability to count ballots like up to a month after election day that they've received. And we know, we're finding out now in the DOJ's investigation of what's been going on with some of these elections, that they were counting ballots weeks after the election. Incumbents love that because it requires challengers to come up with and spend millions of dollars to get poll watchers that favor their campaigns to be able to sit there and watch all of this happen going on for like 40, 50, 60 days. And that's very hard to do. Incumbents have the money to do it, and they have the organization to do it.
That's right. GR Patriot, what do you mean? You want us to put like a New York Stock Exchange ticker on the screen? Is that what you want? Last I looked, it was like 46.4. So it's come down from the top of 50,000, but it was up 305 today.
I think, I
mean, that's what NYSE stands for, New York Stock Exchange.
No, I know that, but do you mean just like a Chiron of running Agenda 47 items? I don't understand. Why would I put the
help us out with
the
that
stock ticker? Yeah.
All right, so that's it, guys. That is Agenda 47, and there is not a single item on this list that he either hasn't successfully accomplished, isn't well on his way to successfully accomplishing, isn't in the process of trying to get done, or isn't being blocked by a bunch of Republicans who are actually Democrats but pretend to be Republicans. Every single item on this list, every one of them, are in flight or are done. So please explain to me how Walt is somehow stuck believing that Trump abandoned Agenda 47.
It makes me wonder what he's
How is
planning
that
on doing
possible?
for the next 3 years. I mean, he's almost done with almost all of that.
I think I'm going to make a video about Walt tonight. I'm making a video about this because this pisses me off.
About Walt.
We looked at
I need
all
to start making
20.
videos again.
We looked at all 20 of the Agenda 47 items, and every single one of them he's working on or is finished. There isn't one that he's just.
Well,
been
I
like,
wouldn't make the video about Walt because every single one of the black pill doom and gloomers out there, the intelligentsia, the influencers, they all started their trek down this path with saying that President Trump broke his promises. President Trump has gone back on his promises. He's not doing what he promised that he would do. Well, he's actually doing or has already done everything on that list. What is it, again, that you believe that you are owed that you are not getting? What is it?
Can I just point out that we are having we are having a very serious global political discussion, and SK is running a matchmaking show in the comment section.
Yeah, it's for MAGA Jake though. Apparently he needs a honey. Apparently he's a little lonely. I don't know what's going on. First it was mail order brides. Now I see someone talking about over 50 women.
All right, let's do that. We're going to bring MAGA Jake on the show so that all the ladies in the comments who are curious can have a chance to see him. Maybe we can do that this Friday. I don't know. MAGA Jake, are you free to join us on Friday for a while? If you can join us on Friday, MAGA Jake, we'll have you on. How about that? We're losing our right to health care. Did someone say that?
No, that was a laughy face. That was Amazing Torah. Amazing Torah is being.
Oh,
being
I'm
fun.
like, what? They just got their health care funded by feckless, weak ass Republicans who bent over backwards to support the Democrats. To pretend like Obamacare was somehow a successful plan that was.
And you know what's so funny about that? Do you know what's so funny about that? Is these same Republicans
showed that they suck.
Well, yeah, that they show that they suck, and then what happened? Democrats, they're like, oh, hey, they gave us that. Now let's shut down DHS and see what we get.
Yeah, but that's not really going that well, is it?
No, yeah, not really.
I mean,
not really.
Didn't we have something in here from Adam Pencilneck Schiff?
We do.
What's that?
Ready?
Should we play that?
Ready?
Let's play that.
Yeah, we should.
ICE agents at airports, I think, is a terrible idea. Look at this heartbreaking scene from San Francisco.
What's your name? Show the badge. Where's a badge?
Where's your badge?
Can someone call 911? Where's your badge? Can I see? Let me see your badge.
Okay.
No, can I see your badge? I don't know if that's legitimate. Can I see your badge number, sir? What is your name? What?
Okay, you guys get it.
What is your name?
You guys get the point. A couple of questions.
Okay.
Who the actual fuck does that woman think she is?
What do you mean?
No.
What do you?
You don't
what do you
get
mean?
to see my badge. Who are you? I have a question. Do you know when Adam Schiff posted that? That was he posted that yesterday.
Okay.
And Adam Schiff was implying with that video that ICE is in airports arresting illegals instead of helping TSA. The problem was that video was taken. Well, did you know the details of that video?
No, but my question is, before you give me the details, is what's wrong with them arresting illegals in the airport?
Nothing, and we're going to get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
The problem. This is
because I don't have a problem with that.
I don't have a problem with that. The problem for Democrats is that the ICE being deployed in these airports is going so well that the entirety of the left had to go back in time and find a video, pretend like it's current. And in that particular instance, that woman was actually in ICE custody in an airport on a deportation order from 2019, and she was being moved to the international terminal to get on a plane to have her ass sent back home, and she took off and tried to run from cops and left her daughter there. Left her daughter with ICE, and she tried to run, and they ran after her, and they arrested her, and all the people, and they're like, we want to see your badge. Show us. No, bitch, shut up. I had to smack her in the face. Actually, shut the hell up. This woman is fleeing. She's being deported. 2019 deportation order. 2019. And she was still in the country in 2026. Yeah. Okay. And then they're trying to pretend like that's ICE just indiscriminately going around and arresting people. This is so stupid.
I'm still struggling with this idea that I'm supposed to be upset with the idea of ICE arresting illegal immigrants at an airport. Is anybody else struggling with that? In the comments, would you be okay if you saw ICE agents in an airport arresting illegal immigrants? Because remember, part of Agenda 47 was a mass deportation campaign, right? Something that he's working on. Final deportation orders too. That's right, JP Walco. But this is not going well for them, because you remember the entire point of the TSA shutdown was to inflict as much possible damage as they could get away with. They wanted travelers to experience the pain that Democrats had the ability to inflict on them. And because Donald Trump is an absolute savage, it didn't go very well, because it took about a day. Can you get this thing off the screen, this video, so we can put my photograph up there? I had that timed so well too. There we go. Like, there was 5-hour lines in some airports, and it took them a day for it to look like that. I saw videos of, at the same time you see Adam Schiff posting things about people being arrested and carnage in airports, there's other videos floating around social media of travelers thanking ICE for giving them a water bottle as they stand in line. You see, they expected to be able to use this as a narrative that ICE is abusing the American people, when in fact, all they did is help them get where they're going faster and gave them water when they were standing in line. They wanted to create 5-hour waits in the airport. Donald Trump sent them in to help, and within a few hours, that 5-hour wait was down to about an hour and a half.
Not only did they want to create 5-hour waits so that you suffer, they also wanted to be able to recreate the same impact they got in the fourth quarter of 2025 and affect the economy and GDP. Because when people can't travel, the economy suffers. That's one. So there's another aspect of Trump's brilliance and genius in this. So yeah, so the lines are being taken care of. ICE is doing the work that TSA was supposed to be doing. So I heard this today, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due, because I hadn't considered it. There's another angle that I had considered, but this is actually really genius. It came from Vince Colanese. Maybe you know Vince Colanese. He does the show at WMAL. Yep. He filled in for Bongino. Just the PR angle that Trump has been able to create, where ICE was, everybody hated ICE, or at least all the leftists, the libs, they all hated ICE, and ICE is the Gestapo, and all they're doing is running around indiscriminately arresting people and deporting American citizens, and they're killers, and they're out there, they're untrained. No, because now everybody that travels through these airports is getting to interact with ICE. ICE is being very friendly. They're being very friendly to ICE. The PR battle that President Trump is waging and winning by having ICE in and around these people, and not doing any of the nonsense that these people claim that they're doing, is a PR win for President Trump. Right. That's number one. Number two, I actually like this one, is you're actually desensitizing, because of that PR battle, you're desensitizing people to seeing ICE around. So when we start deploying ICE to polling stations, they're going to be like, oh, they're already at the airports. Who cares? It's ICE there.
I mean, what's the big deal? I mean, seriously, what? If you're not voting illegally or an illegal voting, why do you care if ICE is there?
Yeah. I mean, police can be police officers are at polling stations all the time. I see police there. I see police voting at polling stations.
I just this past time I went to vote, there was a cop right behind me. Didn't scare me at all. Not even a little bit.
No.
I didn't see anybody worried about it.
No.
I actually think we need to deploy ICE agents in and around voting locations. I think that's a great idea. And now, you're absolutely right, because ICE has actually been humanized and they're no longer seen as Nazi demons. Most people would be okay with it too.
I think so, because the only thing that you're left with, right? So this is the problem that the Democrats have, is people are actually smart, right? Most people are not as stupid as Democrats would like us to believe. Most people understand that when you say black people and women can't figure out how to get IDs, you're actually just calling them stupid because they know how to get IDs. These people live and they work and they drive and they engage in commerce. They know what you're doing. They know that you are trying to create the situation where people can illegally register and illegally vote. There's no other way around this, right? That's all you're doing. Number two, so let's extrapolate from that just a little bit further. Go a little bit further. Your only reason why you would oppose having ICE anywhere near a polling station is because
you want to cheat.
You want to cheat because you want illegals to go and vote. That's the only reason. There's no other reason. ICE is not going to arrest an American citizen walking up, showing an ID and voting. They actually can't. What are they going to arrest them for?
Voting
An illegal
illegally.
alien, however, they can arrest them for simply being in the country.
Yep.
So they won't go to the polling station.
Yep.
Seems
Well,
like
the good
a way to
news
be.
is John Thune's career may be over because Data Republican has set her sights on him and has absolutely destroyed this guy. We were going to talk about this tonight, but we're already at 2 hours, so maybe we wait until Friday and we'll bring this up. Because if we don't get some action on the SAVE Act, it's pretty clear that this guy is actively working to allow our elections to be stolen, and there's no other way to notice. There's no other way.
Enemies to the left, enemies to the right, enemies to the front and the back. They've got them surrounded. That's all right. Trump's going to take them all out.
Yeah. So I think maybe we title our show on Friday, SK. Don't let us forget this. Hello, John Thune. Because that's the way that Data Republican opened up her thread. Hello, John Thune.
Well, that's how she opens up all of her threads when she's getting ready to drag somebody across the internet in a very, very public way.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. You always know when you read hello, insert name, that it's going to
Just
be
pray your name is
scathing.
not in that blank
Right.
section that she fills in with your name. You don't want your name there. All right. I think that's it. We got through everything in the Dropbox, except this idiot Philadelphia DA who's threatening to arrest ICE agents for being in the airports, and he can just pound sand and go make out with a goat or something because nobody else cares. But that's it, folks. That's it. So we want to thank SK for continuing to have people engage in the chat, even though she did seem to take them down some wild rabbit holes. And I'm not entirely sure most people even heard the show tonight, but you can come back and watch it again. That's fine. And next time you have somebody that asks you why Donald Trump abandoned his agenda, just ask which of the 20 parts of Agenda 47 they think he abandoned, because we just showed you every single one of them. Precision. It's precision that he's working with. And I'm sorry for you fake ass black pill wannabe America First people. If you don't understand it, that's your fault. We can't help you. It's not our fault that you're morons. Sorry. All right. See you Friday. See you Friday. We're out. Later, y'all.
Got it. It's coming.
You got it?
Come on.
Of your
That's gay.
convictions. Sad